A small room appears. The walls are plain, slightly worn. The paint is peeling near the ceiling. A single bulb hangs above, casting a tired yellow glow that barely fills the space. Shadows stretch long across the room like silent witnesses. On a small bed by the wall sits a young man, early 20s, hoodie on, elbows on his knees, phone in his hand. His thumb scrolls endlessly. Scroll, scroll, scroll. On the screen, other people's lives, smiles, success stories. Just bought my first car. Promotion secure. Another win. Blessed beyond measure. His face remains still, but his eyes tell a different story. Comparison. He pauses on one post. A former classmate standing in front of a new office building. The caption reads, started from nothing. Now we're here. The young man exhales slowly. Started from nothing. He whispers. His gaze drops to the floor. The camera pans around the room. On the small wooden table beside him are unpaid bills. A notebook filled with half-written goals. A crumpled paper that reads, Vision 2025, crossed out with a single line. The ticking clock grows louder. Tick, tick, tick. Narrator calm but piercing. What if the only thing standing between you and your next level is your mindset? The young man leans back against the wall and closes his eyes. The phone slips slightly in his hand, but he doesn't notice. Inside his mind, the voices begin. You're behind. You should have figured it out by now. People your age are already winning. Maybe this is just your limit. His jaw tightens. The camera zooms in slowly on his face. He looks strong on the outside, but inside, something is collapsing quietly. He opens his eyes and stares at the ceiling. Maybe this is just my limit, he whispers, barely audible. Silence. The room suddenly feels smaller. The air feels heavier. The clock continues. Tick, tick, tick. Then faintly from the phone speaker, almost by accident, a video begins to play. He must have tapped something while scrolling. A familiar voice fills the room. Firm, measured, convicting. The voice of Apostle Joshua Selman. You don't rise by chance. You rise by transformation. The young man's eyes shift toward the phone. He doesn't touch it. He just listens. You don't become exceptional by waiting for opportunity. You become exceptional by becoming different. The words hang in the air. Different. The camera slowly circles him as the voice continues in the background. The greatest prison is not a location. It is a mindset. Many people are not poor because of lack of resources. They are poor because of the way they see themselves. The young man swallows. His breathing changes slightly. Cut to a quick flashback. A classroom years ago. A teacher handing back a test paper. You're intelligent, but you don't apply yourself. Another flash. A friend laughing. You dream too big, bro. Be realistic. Another flash. A family gathering. An older relative shaking their head. In this economy, just find something safe. Back to the present. He stares at the phone as if it's speaking directly to him. The voice continues. If your mindset remains the same, your results will remain the same. The world responds to who you become. The music begins softly now. Low strings building tension. Narrator. Most people are not limited by opportunity. They are limited by perception. You can sit in a room full of doors and still believe you are trapped. The young man looks around his small space. Is he trapped? Or has he accepted something that isn't true? His thumb hovers over the screen. He almost scrolls away. Almost. But he doesn't. Instead, he increases the volume slightly. The voice grows stronger. You must audit your beliefs. Every thought that tells you I can't must be interrogated. Who told you that? When did you agree with that lie? The question hits him like a sudden knock on the door of his mind. Who told you that? He sits up right now. His back straightens. The ticking clock fades into the background as the message fills the room. Flashback again. He's younger, excitedly telling someone about a business idea. Their response, that's risky. You're not cut out for that. Another flash. He tries something new and fails. Someone says, I knew it, the memory lingers. Back to the room. The young man's expression shifts from sadness to something else. Awareness. He realizes something quietly devastating. He didn't just hear those words, he adopted them. Narrator. Every limitation first existed as a thought. Before it became your reality, it was your belief. The phone screen now shows a close-up of Apostle Joshua Selman speaking passionately. Transformation begins when you become dissatisfied with your current level of thinking. Dissatisfied. The young man looks at the notebook on the table. He reaches for it slowly, opens it. On the first page, written months ago, start YouTube channel, apply for leadership program, launch online store. Beside each goal, in smaller handwriting, maybe next year, not what if I fail. He stares at those words, not ready yet. What if I fail? The music builds slightly. Narrator. Fear disguised itself as wisdom. Doubt disguised itself as humility. And over time, caution became a cage. The young man's grip tightens on the pen lying on the table. The voice from the phone continues. Your future is not afraid of your background. It is waiting for your transformation. He repeats the sentence quietly. My future is waiting. For the first time in this scene, there is a flicker in his eyes. Not excitement, not confidence, but curiosity. What if the problem isn't his location? What if it isn't the economy? What if it isn't his connections? What if the problem is the lens through which he sees himself? The camera slowly zooms out, showing the room again. Same walls, same bulb, same unpaid bills. Nothing external has changed, but something internal has shifted slightly. The ticking clock returns faintly. Tick, tick. But it doesn't sound oppressive anymore. It sounds urgent. The voice on the phone reaches a powerful line. You cannot think like yesterday and expect a different tomorrow. Silence follows. The video ends. The screen goes still. The young man stares at his reflection in the dark phone screen. He sees himself clearly, tired, capable, afraid, full of potential. He whispers, almost challenging himself, what if this isn't my limit? The question hangs in the air, not answered, not resolved, but alive. He stands slowly and walks to the small mirror on the wall. He looks at himself, long and hard. Narrator. The most dangerous moment in a person's life is not failure. It is acceptance of a false identity. He places both hands on the sink beneath the mirror. Breathes deeply. Inhale, exhale. The room is still small, but it no longer feels suffocating because the walls were never the true boundary. The boundary was invisible. And for the first time, he has seen it. The camera slowly fades to black. The ticking clock stops. Complete silence. Then one final whisper from the narrator. Before your life changes, your thinking must. And just before the screen goes fully dark, we hear him say softly, but firmly, maybe I've been thinking too small. Cut to black. A thin line of light slips through the torn edge of a curtain and lands gently across the young man's face. His eyes open slowly. For a few seconds, he stares at the ceiling, still suspended between yesterday's doubts and today's possibilities. The room looks the same. Same walls, same desk, same unpaid bills stacked at the corner. But something feels different. Not louder, not explosive. Just aware. He sits up on the bed and rubs his face. His phone lies beside him. The screen is dark. For a brief moment, he considers reaching for it to scroll the same feeds, to resume the same cycle. His hand moves halfway, then stops. Instead, he swings his legs off the bed and stands. The camera follows him slowly as he walks to the desk. He pulls out the chair and sits down. The notebook from last night is still there, open to the page of abandoned goals. He stares at the words again. Start YouTube channel, apply for leadership program, launch online store, and beneath them in smaller handwriting, maybe next year, not ready yet. What if I fail? He exhales deeply. The silence in the room is thick but not heavy. It feels like a pause before something important is said. He reaches for his laptop, opens it. The familiar startup sound echoes softly. His fingers hover over the keyboard. On the screen, his browser history shows distractions, random searches, social media, entertainment. But at the top of the suggestions is a video he watched halfway before, a message by Apostle Joshua Selman. He hesitates, then clicks. The video resumes. The voice fills the room again, calm, steady, piercing. Your mindset is the lens that interprets your destiny. If the lens is broken, your future will look distorted. The young man leans back slightly. Distorted. The camera slowly zooms toward his face as he stares at the screen. What if nothing was wrong with his potential? What if his interpretation was wrong? The message continues. Two people can stand in the same environment and experience completely different outcomes. The difference is not always opportunity. The difference is perspective. The words sink in. Cut to a quick visual montage. Two individuals in the same city. One sees competition. The other sees opportunity. One sees risk. The other sees growth. Back to the room. The young man pauses the video. His reflection appears faintly on the laptop screen. He studies his own face. Narrator. Most people don't realize they are wearing invisible lenses. Lenses shaped by past failures. Lenses tinted by other people's opinions. Lenses scratched by comparison. He reaches for the notebook again. Flips to a blank page. The sound of paper turning feels symbolic. He writes at the top, "What do I believe about myself?" He pauses. The pen hovers. Slowly, he begins to write. "I am not consistent. I am not confident. I don't have enough resources. I am always behind." Each sentence feels uncomfortable, but he keeps going. "I am not a leader. I am bad at finishing what I start." He stops, stares at the page. The list is longer than he expected. Narrator. Sometimes transformation doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with confrontation. He presses play again. Apostle Joshua Selman continues. You must audit your beliefs. Many of the things you call personality are actually unchallenged assumptions. Unchallenged assumptions. The young man leans forward now, elbows on the desk, unchallenged. He looks at the first sentence he wrote. "I am not consistent." A flashback appears. He remembers trying to work out 2 years ago. He lasted 3 weeks, then stopped. "I quit," he whispers. But then another memory surfaces. Last year, he helped a friend prepare for exams. Every day for a month, without missing a session. He frowned slightly. If he was truly inconsistent, how did he manage that? His eyes widened just a little. Maybe the label was too absolute. He crosses out the sentence, draws a single line through it, not aggressively, just deliberately. The sound of the pen scratching across paper feels like something breaking. He moves to the next. "I am not confident." Another flash. He remembers presenting in class once. His voice shook. But then another memory appears. He once defended a friend in an argument, speaking clearly and boldly. So which is true? Is he not confident? Or is he confident in certain environments and afraid in others? The lens begins to crack. He crosses out the second sentence. Narrator. When you question your thoughts, you weaken their authority. The music in the background begins to rise gently, hopeful, but restrained. He continues examining each belief. "I don't have enough resources." He looks around the room. Old laptop, internet connection, notebook. time. Is that nothing? He thinks about people who started with less. He thinks about how often he waits for perfect conditions. He writes beside it, I can start small. The shift is subtle, but powerful. He presses play again. The voice continues. You cannot step into a new season thinking like the old you. Growth requires a new language. A new language. The young man looks back at his notebook. He flips to the page of goals. The smaller writing, maybe next year. Not ready yet. What if I fail? Suddenly feels foreign, like it was written by someone else. Narrator. Your words reveal your mindset, and your mindset shapes your direction. He takes the pen again. This time, instead of crossing out, he rewrites. Under Start YouTube channel, he writes, start with one video. Under Apply for Leadership Program, he writes, submit application this week. Under Launch Online Store, he writes, research suppliers today. Each sentence feels actionable, specific, immediate. His breathing becomes steadier. The camera slowly moves closer to capture the subtle change in his posture. He is sitting straighter now, shoulders slightly back. The room hasn't changed, but he is no longer slouched by invisible weight. Suddenly, doubt tries to creep in. A whisper in his mind. What if you try and fail again? He freezes for a moment. The music dips slightly. He presses pause on the video. Silence. He stares at the wall. Failure. The word echoes. Then he remembers another line from last night. You don't rise by chance. You rise by transformation. Transformation implies process. Process implies mistakes. Maybe failure isn't proof of limitation. Maybe it's proof of movement. He opens a new page and writes boldly across the top. Failure is feedback. He underlines it. Hard. The sound of the pen pressing into paper is loud in the quiet room. He presses play again. Apostle Joshua Selman says, the version of you that will live your future must be built intentionally. Built. Not wished. Not waited for. Built. The young man looks at his hands. Builders use tools. What are his tools? Discipline, learning, action, consistency. The camera cuts to a montage of subtle but powerful actions beginning to unfold. He closes unnecessary browser tabs, deletes a distracting app from his phone, opens a blank document titled Video Ideas. He types slowly at first, then faster. Idea 1, idea 2, idea 3. He stops and smiles faintly. It's not dramatic, it's not cinematic, but it's movement. Narrator. Mindset shifts rarely announce themselves with fireworks. They begin quietly, with decisions no one applauds. The sunlight in the room grows slightly brighter. Time is passing, but instead of feeling behind, he feels engaged. He opens a website for the leadership program he once feared applying to, reads the requirements carefully. His eyes scan the qualifications. For a moment, intimidation rises again. They're looking for experienced candidates. He almost closes the tab. Almost. But then he remembers. Perspective, he reads further. Demonstrated initiative. Commitment to growth. He thinks about the tutoring sessions, the small projects he completed, the skills he has been developing quietly. Maybe he qualifies more than he assumed. The lens continues to adjust. He whispers to himself, what if I'm more capable than I think? The question lingers. It doesn't demand an immediate answer. It simply opens a door. He looks back at the paused video of Apostle Joshua Selman on the screen. For the first time, he doesn't feel like a passive listener. He feels like a participant. The message isn't just inspirational, it's instructional. He closes the laptop gently, not because he's done, but because he's decided. He stands up from the desk and walks to the small mirror again. This time, his gaze is steadier. He studies his reflection carefully. Same face, same features, but the expression has shifted. There is uncertainty, yes, but there is also intention. Narrator. Changing your mindset does not instantly change your environment. It changes your posture within it. He speaks softly to his reflection. I'm not stuck. I've been thinking small. He nods once, not dramatically, just firmly. The camera slowly pulls back. The room that once felt like a cage now feels like a workshop, not a prison, a starting point. The music rises gently, leaving viewers with a quiet but powerful realization. The biggest shift in his life did not happen outside. It happened in the way he sees. And as the screen begins to fade slowly, one question hangs in the air.